my phone dings when we get a Shopify sale,
Mm.
and now it dings a lot, and it didn't used to ding very much at all. So on one day, kind of dinging a lot, and I thought, oh my God, look at this! This really works. This is really working. Our sales are going up, and so the key moment for me was we had a big tax bill and I just paid it. I just paid the bill. I didn't think about
Mm.
it. I didn't go, oh my God, there's a bill. I just thought, oh, I better pay that bill. And it was like three times what our normal bill would have been for that period. And I just thought, oh, I'll just pay that then. So oh my
Mm.
God, I can't tell you what a relief that is. And so we're going into the winter now, and instead of going into winter and me thinking, oh, what's gonna happen? Are we gonna be? I'm thinking, oh, okay, come on then, bring it on, winter. We're ready for you.
January of last year, it was about 3 to 4 grand a month. And then we started Good for Profits, like I think October. And then, so during that, that's when I was like doing a lot of like the e-commerce, and that it went up to about 12 grand during that. And then when we started Good for Profits, before ads, so that's about 3, 4 months, it like creeped up to around like maybe like 18, 20. And then we decided to like start doing scaling 3 months ago, and we've hit like pretty much 30 grand a month in a row for the past 3 months. Yeah, it's amazing. And then when you just look on it, like, yeah, month to month, it's almost like 3 times the amount of revenue you make, like compared to last year.
It's immensely different, really, really life-changingly different. If you think of all the things that flow from that, so
Mm.
if you're not sitting up at night worrying about how you're going to pay a bill or what you're going to do or how you're going to manage, or for me, certainly the responsibility of staff, I can't even tell you what a huge thing that is, because
Mm.
that security means that you can be more creative because you're not worrying anymore. It means you sleep better, so you work better. So
Mm.
all of those kind of personal things that have flowed from all those wonderful personal things have flowed from getting the business really on track and feeling confident that if we need to push it a bit more, if we need to raise our income a bit more, then Matt simply does more on the ads. And
Mm.
that correlation between, turning up the ads and income coming in is it's an absolute correlation, and that's fantastic, isn't it? I
Mm.
can take a weekend off. I never took weekends off. Now I take weekends off. I think for us the main thing was we live on a tiny island off the Scottish coast. I mean, like, we are truly a dot in the North Atlantic. So getting our message out has been hard. We do really amazing things here, but actually being able to get that out there has been difficult. And so we
Mm.
tried various things. We're active on social media and all the rest of it, but what we lacked was a kind of coherent strategy.
For a couple of years, we did try like B2B, and we found that like quite exhausting, and the margins weren't great, obviously. And we had some really, really good clients, and like that did work for a little bit in the sense that we still got those. But just our online sales were really, really tough, and just the money wasn't coming in. And being a small business on an island, which is quite driven by tourism, there's basically like 7, 8 months where there just isn't anyone coming through your shop door.
Mm.
So we needed to figure out how to get money coming in.
I mean, I really love what I do. I just love what I do. But I was
Mm.
very conscious that loving what you do isn't enough to pay the bills.
Yeah,
And
very true.
and if you think about living on a very small island, every part of that is expensive. So bringing ingredients onto the island is expensive. Moving products off the island, everything is expensive. And so I think we felt really content with what we were doing, and we were just about scraping by, but we weren't in a comfortable position. So I do remember in the winter, especially when there's nobody here, like there's literally nobody here. You find, or I found myself at nighttime thinking, oh God, this is serious. We've got these bills to pay, and we've got to get more income generation. We've just got to find a way of doing that. So I think I was very happy in what I was doing. I've got a fantastic team. They were all really happy, but I think there was just a generalized anxiety. So every time you got to kind of October time, towards the end of October, I would then start to feel quite nervous about how are we going to survive right through until March, April, yeah, probably April the following year. So it's a stress. It's a real
Yeah.
stress. It's an interesting thing, isn't it, when you're casting around, you know that you haven't got it right. And so you're casting around trying to find
Mm.
what is it? What is the thing that we're doing wrong, or what's the thing that we're missing? And it's incredibly hard to work that out by yourself, actually. We had a very short period with a marketing company, and their argument was, which was an interesting one, look, you won't see results. Okay, so we'll do this strategy over here, and results will come over there. And then the question of how long between the actions and the results, and the answer was, well, we don't know, which actually is not a massively helpful thing. So I thought, okay, well, you know what, we'll give them 6 months and see what they can do. And so we put a lot of money in over here, and then we never quite got to over here. The rewards were just poor. I mean, really,
Mm.
really poor. And then we talked to one other agency, and they sent through. So I did a lot of chats with them, and then they sent through what they thought was a really good précis of the brand. I don't know who had written it. Maybe AI wrote it. It was shocking. It was
Mm.
so terrible. And I thought, okay, this is not the right route to go down. I'm not doing this again. Just trying to get your voice heard is really, really difficult. It's a very crowded marketplace. And we do something very, very different. So it was, how do we express that difference? How can we get our story out there? And we realized that we weren't going to do it just by social media alone. We weren't going to do it just by visitors alone. We really needed to absolutely nail that e-commerce. And so I started looking around to see if there was something that could help us. And then I came across you actually on social media, and I looked and I thought, oh, okay, that sounds quite interesting. Then I read all about you. Then I tried to find reviews on you, and I did all that. I did my due diligence, and then
Yeah.
thought, you know what? Let's give them a go. Let's see if they can actually really make the difference for us. The cost of the course was quite a lot for us when we didn't have very much money coming in, and
Mm.
and I was anxious about whether that was money well spent. I now know that that was money incredibly well spent, and so I think if you're hesitating because you're not sure that committing several £1,000s to a course is going to do the job, then in terms of good for profits, I would dismiss that as an anxiety. If you do the work, you get the results. That's it. It is an
Mm.
absolutely comprehensive system that you've created. And you're guided through it incredibly well. I think that's fantastic, actually. So it works because if you commit to it, if you decide that you're actually going to really go for this thing, it's on you. It's not that you're
Mm.
investing in an ad agency and hoping that they'll come up with a result at some point. It's not that. It's that if you do the work and you follow the program and you take the support, you get the results. I think that's the thing. I tell you what was interesting for me, and it's a strange thing. There was we started, but Matt and I both started watching the classroom things. So we were
Mhm.
watching all the videos, and I had an intense sense of disquiet, strangely, because
Mm.
what I found very uncomfortable was the idea that we were aiming at being a six-figure business. So there was a lot of chat about a six-figure business, and you do this and you reflect this and you organize routines and you'll become a six-figure business. And I think for me, I didn't really want to become a six-figure business. That
Mm.
wasn't the goal. The goal wasn't exponential growth. The goal for us has always been sustainable growth, so slow,
Mhm.
sustainable growth. So to begin with, there was a slight disconnect between me and the classroom,
Yeah, fair
where
enough.
I felt as though maybe we were slightly driving at different things. But then I thought, well, what the hell? It doesn't matter. The lessons are the same, whether we go
Mm.
for six-figure growth or less. And we can control what we do. And once we got into it, and I really understood that we really could control what we do in terms of what the ad spend was going to be and what we could expect the return to be, then actually I thought, okay, this is all good. This is great.
Mm.
We can do this. We could have done more. So we could have pushed it. We could have increase the ad spend more, so we could have increased the revenue faster. But actually doing it in the way that we've done it has meant that we've been able to, just in the space that we work in, for example, change it round. And because we make everything from scratch, it meant that we had to organize ourselves so that we could do that. So growing in the way that we've been growing means that we've been able to just increase very gently, like buy another machine, or find another space, or buy another table, or whatever it is, which means that we can confidently allow it to kind of grow. So now I think our plan is that we grow a bit more, a little bit faster, because we've put everything in place and we know what we need to do in order to be able to have a greater revenue. So that's also a really important thing, I think, for us. I'm not young, clearly. I'm in my 60s. And I think that there's also something else that goes on. If you're in your 60s, even if you're reasonably tech savvy, and I'm not particularly, but even if you are, you haven't been raised with technology. It's not something that has been part of your life really until much later, until you're probably in your 20s or even 30s. So getting your head around it feels like a really enormous thing. It feels like a really big mountain to climb. And I think that if you're a bit older and you're not accustomed to working with tech, and you're not used to e-commerce as a thing, because it's not something that we had, it wasn't, then it can sometimes feel as though it's an even bigger investment. It's an even bigger leap, but it's so worth doing the leap, even if you're not feeling massively confident tech-wise, even if it's not something that you've grown up with, it's still something that you can do. You can really do it, and it can really transform your business. I think what I'd say is, if you've got the time, if you can make the time to invest in your business and cut out the periphery, cut out all the noise, and just really concentrate in on what you're doing and be guided by Good for Profits on that, you'll succeed. I think that's the long and short of it. So where you might be worried about, having tried other things before and them not having worked, this is a guided program. It's not just a course, it's a properly guided program. So it will give you skills that you need in order to survive and achieve, actually, in what is a very, very competitive world now. So go for it. If you're prepared to put in the time, go for it. You really won't regret it.